The story of one girl.
The night I met the king started at an attendance mandatory fun corporate event celebrating the end of the fiscal quarter. There was pizza, cake, a speech where C-suite guy made weird inside jokes that only the senior sales guys laughed at. There was an open bar. C-suite guy wrapped up his pep talk. He told us we hit it out of the park this quarter and that we have to keep swinging for the fences. Then he told us to give it up for the DJ. Classic rock blasted through the two-star hotel ballroom. There was some slightly newer stuff mixed in too. In other words, the standard fun corporate event DJ package, the queue of business casual drinkers quickly ramped up to a 75-deep crowd angling to get free alcohol. Then slowly shrank back to manageable size as the booze was served. Dancing happened. That's when I saw him. 50-something. He had a beer gut that was smaller than most guys his age. I had to give him credit for at least trying to keep the forces of aging in America at bay. But, let's be honest, he still had a dad bod. No, I take it back. That night he didn't just have a dad bod. He was rockin' his dad bod. This guy was dancing like a teenager. Drunk? So deep into a midlife crisis that nothing mattered to him anymore? I couldn't tell. Our eyes met for a second. What did my face say to him? That I was studying him? Judging him? Mocking him? I don't know what he saw in me. But in his eyes, I saw something different. Someone who walks among us, but isn't us. Something other. In a dad bod. Dancing to Moni Moni, here she come now sayin', Moni, Moni, shoot 'em down, turn around, come on, Moni, the song ended. I lost dad bod in the crowd. I got another Corona. I wallflowered and pretended to look at my phone, pawn promotion. It was dad bod. He leaned against the wall next to me. Excuse me? Chess, right? You know what happens when a pawn makes it to the other side? Yeah, it turns into a queen. The most badass piece on the board. He smiled at me. By that, I mean the line formed by the boundary between his upper and lower lip produced a concave upwards shape. His mouth was simply following polite social protocol. His eyes told me that his smile had nothing to do with what I said. You're playing the white pieces, right? You want to go to the other side? The edge of the black side of the board? I've been creeped on before. Gawked at. Subjected to opportunities to get ahead in business, if you know what I mean. So I know what I'm talking about. Whatever dad bod was suggesting, it wasn't sex. I'm not saying he had a wholesome vibe. Frankly, he made me think of a middle-aged Bugs Bunny with a secret dark agenda. But even if he was angling to kill me and eat my liver, at least I knew that necrophilia wasn't in the cards. Maybe I'm playing the black pieces. I was trying to be cool. But I was scared. Not of him, exactly, but of us. What the two of us could do together and regret later. His weird energy was infecting me. I felt jumpy. Suddenly I wanted to cut in line, or fart in a restaurant. I get like this sometimes. And when I do, I make terrible decisions. Do you know what kind of car our COO drives? What? It took me a moment to realize we weren't talking about chess anymore. That guy? I pointed to our C-suite master of ceremonies, standing near the bar, talking to a crowd of people who were trying to get ahead in business without getting naked. A Maserati Gran Turismo. Nice, I guess? I'm going to steal his car keys. Then I'm going to steal his car right out of the VIP parking spot. Then I'm going to drive it like an animal all the way to the edge of the black side of the board. You wanna be a queen? Then he walked away. I have no idea what I would have said if he stuck around waiting for me to respond. He walked straight into the crowd of getting ahead in business types surrounding the COO. He said something to all of them. I couldn't hear it from across the room, but everyone laughed. He followed up with another quip that brought even more laughter. C-suite guy gave dad bod a shoulder pat that somehow communicated an avuncular "you're all right." I like the cut of your jib. Dadbod's hand flashed in and out of the COO's pocket. Another minute of chit-chat with C-suite and the crowd of go-getters. Then Dadbod turned and walked towards the exit. He slyly turned to me and opened his hand just long enough for me to see a key fob in his palm. What was I going to do? Not ride a stolen Maserati to the black edge of the board? Pass on it for now, but do it next time I have the chance? I finished my half bottle of Corona with one long swig and followed Dadbod to the exit. The black Maserati was idling in the hotel driveway when I pushed my way out of the lobby doors. Its windows were tinted to opacity. Light rain was falling and the car looked like it was covered in drops of black ink. It was a beautiful and inscrutable machine. A stolen machine. I approached the car and saw my reflection in the dark mirror of the tinted window. I was smiling like I always do when I'm about to do something nuts. I grasped the handle to open the passenger door. The instant I touched the car, my reflection changed. For a startling instant, I had 8 faces. Not just 8 copies of my face, like you might see if you looked into the fragments of a broken mirror. In that split second, 8 different versions of my face were crammed onto my grotesquely inflated head. All the faces were mine, but they had different expressions. One was laughing, another was streaked with tears. 2 of my faces had lips curled, snarling in rage. The image vanished before I could study the rest of the faces, of my faces. I backed away from the car. Suddenly the boring banality of the corporate event unfolding in the hotel behind me felt attractive. Safe, the window rolled down and my now frightened but otherwise normal face was replaced with Dadbod's ironically humorous expression, leaning across the passenger seat to talk to me out the window. You coming? The jumpy feeling of high-energy mischief that I felt when Dadbod talked to me in the hotel ballroom came back and replaced the momentary terror. I opened the door and got into the car. Dadbod smirked at me as I maneuvered myself into the awkwardly low seat. I smirked back. Where are we going? I told you. The black edge of the board. Right. Got it. Is there, like, a good restaurant there or something? Nope. He put the car into drive. You gonna buckle up? Nope. He shrugged with a suit-yourself kind of gesture and blasted the car out of the hotel parking lot and onto the state highway. Jesus. I hope you have your pilot's license. I pulled the belt over me and clicked the buckle in. The speedometer needle hit 90 and kept moving to the right. He ignored me and pushed the car even harder. I'm Kevin, by the way. Kevin Gustav. Pauline. Pauline. Paul. Ian. Pauline. Pawani. He experimented with different ways of saying my name before settling on the normal pronunciation. Pauline, can you do me a favor? Put on some music. The console sound system had a slot for CDs. I took a guess there'd be some discs in the glove box, and I was right. I pulled out a stack of CDs mixed with random car paperwork and started sorting through them. One of the discs was labeled Classic Rock Mix. Classic rock, okay? Sure, he said. Who doesn't like to rock, classically? I slid the disc into the slot and a few seconds later Robert Plant was telling us that he had to ramble on. Kevin started singing along. In the darkest depths of Mordor, I met a girl so fair. I'm not talking about you by the way, I'm just singin', but Golem and the Evil One. I sorted through the mess of CDs and paperwork that spilled out of the glove box from my rummaging around. One of the papers was the car's registration. I took a closer look to see who we stole it from. The car was registered to Kevin Isandro Nicholas Gustav. I threw the registration at him. God damn it, Kevin. Kevin Isandro, whatever the rest of your name is. You said you stole this car. You lied. This is your damn car. He started laughing. Stop laughing, you lying creep. What the hell is this? Are you kidnapping me? He slowed the car to a less irresponsible 75 and laughed even harder. Let me get this straight, he finally said. You were totally cool with this when you thought I had stolen a $200,000 car. Totally cool. Let's go. Not even gonna buckle the seatbelt. Let's just roll, that was you. But now. He started laughing again. But now that you know the car isn't stolen, that's where you draw the line? What kind of a system of ethics is that? You lured me here. Under false pretenses. That's what I'm mad at. Asshole. Well, Miss Pauline, what kind of pretenses would you prefer to be lured underneath? I didn't get to answer. The blinding headlights of a truck screaming the opposite direction in our lane suddenly appeared in front of us. Kevin jerked the wheel and flung the car to the shoulder. We missed an offset collision by inches. The CD cases in my lap slid onto the floor. The seatbelt tensioner locked and held me so tightly against the car's G-forces that it bruised my boob. I screamed and threw my arms in front of me. When I realized we didn't crash, I spun around to see what happened to the truck. Through the Maserati's back window, I saw smoke from the truck's squealing tires billow into the red cones of illumination from its brake lights. Then it performed an impossible 180-degree bootleg turn. It was a sports car move. The kind of stunt that takes not only a ton of practice but that cannot possibly be done by an 18-wheeled semi-truck and trailer. Everything I knew about the laws of physics told me the truck should have jackknifed and rolled over, not spun around like it was a die-cast Hot Wheels toy. I was able to read the logo on the side of the trailer as the rig spun through its impossible turn. Castle Trucking. Kevin, did you see that? Kevin's eyes were locked on the rearview mirror. We got problems. He's still coming. I looked back again. The truck was pretty far back, but it was clearly accelerating like mad. And gaining on us. Step on it, Kevin. The Maserati, already traveling far over the speed limit, leapt forward like a rocket. The car screamed out a soprano-pitched song of rapidly shifting gears and the engine entered a realm of RPMs that would make my Corolla's drivetrain disintegrate. I turned from the back window to the dashboard and saw that we were going 134 miles per hour. I turned to the back window again. The castle truck was still closing the distance. I looked at Kevin. He's still gaining on us. What are you going to do? The question is, what are you going to do? It's time for you to do the job I hired you for. Hired? I don't recall a job interview. Well, maybe it's more like I recruited you. Or kidnapped me. Let's go with drafted, for now. I drafted you for your special skills. I turned back and looked at the truck. In the few seconds of our short conversation, the castle truck had closed half the distance. My special skills? Oh man, you drafted the wrong woman. First, I need you to change the song. We need to rock harder for this. Sure, yeah. Obviously. Then I mouthed a silent WTF and pressed the next track button on the CD player. AC/DC's Thunderstruck came on. That'll do, Kevin said. Then he pressed a button on the dash and the sunroof slid open. AC/DC's guitar riff was completely drowned out by the triple the speed limit roar of the wind and the Maserati's 8 cylinders screaming like they were being returned to the wild from captivity. Kevin said something else to me, but I couldn't hear him. What? I screamed. I said. He yelled back, I need you to stand up through the sunroof and flip him off with both hands. I just stared at him, the double bird. That's your special skill. Now do your job. Soldier. I couldn't argue with him. I did have a strong tendency to employ the double middle finger in high drama situations. This, I thought, must be that karma thing everyone warned me about. I sighed and unbuckled the seatbelt. Then I squirmed to a squatting pose on the front seat. I vaguely heard AC/DC yell fun. Durr. Under the road noise. The speedometer needle was shaking blur around the 150 mph hash mark, both hands. He shouted, Jesus. I got it okay. I shouted back. Then I stood on the seat and stuck my head and torso out the sunroof. the first sensation of sticking my head into a 150-mile-per-hour airstream was pain from the light rain slamming into the back of my head. For normal, stationary people, each raindrop would feel like a little gentle, refreshing tap of coolness. At 150, each drop was like a shard of ice fired at the back of my head from a pellet gun. The wind grabbed my hair and whipped it so violently the ends stung my cheeks and nose. My breath was torn from my mouth and lungs, and I struggled to breathe. If the Maserati's speedometer was right, if we really were moving at 150, then the castle truck must have been going 200. It was closing on us like we were standing still. It gave no sign that it was going to pass us. No blinker. No horn. No slight drift towards the left lane. Castle was on a ramming mission. I lifted both hands and flipped the most spiteful, vindictive, ill-tempered double bird that I have ever flipped. I shook my bird fists in unison and then raised them all the way over my head. For some reason, this worked. Whoever was driving the castle truck slammed on the brakes so hard I could hear the squealing tires over the noise of the rushing air and the Maserati engine. The truck decelerated under the same impossible laws of physics that it used to catch up with us, and in moments it vanished behind us into the rainy night. I climbed back into the passenger seat and buckled the seatbelt. Kevin pressed the sunroof button on the dash and the raging cacophony outside faded away. "Nice job," Kevin said. He gently let off the gas and the car slowly settled back to a now feeling slow 90. "Hey look," he pointed out the windshield. "Let's stop at the E6 for a snack."